I think it's a travesty that the only editors that are up for Oscars are scripted editors, when it's like documentary editors. It's like next level in my opinion.
Do you like editing off of a script?
I do, ish. I get a lot more creative satisfaction in engagement when I'm cutting doc, but from a scripted standpoint, like there's definitely a few directors that I'll cut their features, their scripted features, and I'm getting pulled in early and having a say to some of the early, not anything dramatic, but I'm seeing how the script is evolving. We're having conversations, we're bouncing ideas off of each other. Nowhere near a co-write kind of thing. It's more of a friend, like we're going to be editing this. Do you see any ways that we can make this scene shine or better? So that's cool, but getting handed a script and some footage, it's kind of like, okay, I'll cut it real, that's fine, I'll cut it. And then we can get into like some of the minutia of the script, but I just feel like it's not tapping as much of me, of my creative, what I can bring to the table as what Doc does. And I mean, I think it's a travesty that the only editors that are up for Oscars are scripted editors, when it's like documentary editors. It's like next level in my opinion. And so, it's good, but I'll cut the scripted features for my friends and my longtime collaborators, because they're my friends and longtime collaborators, and I just want to make a movie with them. I'm not out there looking for scripts to cut.
And so, as we talked about previously, how you like to sit with the first sort of pass at it and not have anyone else in the edit room, how do you do that with narrative? Do you use the script at the same time as you're looking at the first pass?
Yeah, I'll cull I'll cull it down using my own kind of selects method to get everything kind of organized, and then I'll do it as scripted cut. Like I'll just do a straight up as verbatim, word for word as scripted, and I'll set that aside. And now I'll either take that or I won't take it, and I'll do my own pass. And like what I'm seeing, an alternate from performance standpoint, a pace standpoint, pulling out these lines, adding these reactions, whatever. Like I'll create one that's a little bit off the wall. And so in some, we have this one, and now we're probably going to land somewhere between here. And new scenes or new approaches will emerge because we did this one and this one. Like, ooh, let's take a little from here, and make a new one. And so I always like, in a scripted environment, I always like to provide alternatives and different ways through the script, because now that it's on screen, it's becoming the film. This is where the rubber meets the road, and we're like done hoping and dreaming and wishing, and like now here's the movie. It's emerging from the script to get on the screen, and things can alter and things can shift. But I do like to put together an as scripted, just so we have that. It's a good starting point. Now let's see where it takes us.
Can you give us examples on why you feel documentary editing is next level, why you feel more called to it?
I think because it demands so much more of the editor from a narrative, pace, tone, rhythm standpoint. I mean, a lot of doc editors are getting writing credit on their docs, and so that just kind of shows like where the director feels that the editor is in the process. And it's in a lot of ways in post you're like co-directing this, and the director has done the director has done research, has been on production, has put their neck on the line for this project. I'm not taking anything away from what a director does on a documentary, but I'm saying in the creation of the piece, it's really the director and the editor just like discovering the film together. And so for me, it calls so much more out of me, and it uses so much more of everything, of my passion, of my craft, of my skill, of my repertoire of tools and tricks and all of the things. It activates so much more of me than when I'm cutting scripted. And so I just think that there's a higher calling for doc editors, in my opinion.
Sure. It sounds like you like solving things. You like puzzle. Like you want to be sort of you like your brain engaged like that.
Yeah, I like my brain engaged, and I like my heart engaged. I like manipulating in the best way possible.
Sure.
I like eliciting those emotions, and yeah, a scripted editor can as well. But I have so many more tools at my disposal as a doc editor to elicit emotion and to craft and to develop. I just like sitting in that seat.
Right, problem solving, things like that.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is it true that there's never been an Oscar for documentary editing?
Yeah, I don't even think documentary editors are allowed to be considered in the editing category. I'll have to be fact checked, but I'm 99% sure that doc editors aren't able to be considered for best editing.
Do you see that change coming within the Academy?
That would be awesome. That would be great. I don't necessarily see it coming. If at the very least I could see like a new category being added, probably not televised. But I think that there's more that can that can elevate documentary editors, and like kind of shed some light on how much of them is poured into the projects.
Would you advise most filmmakers throw away the script once they begin editing?
I would keep it a little longer. I would definitely use it as getting the film on the timeline, getting that assembly down, getting it as scripted, and then maybe not throwing it away, but like maybe putting it in a drawer, and then just letting the film emerge from what was scripted, whether that's scene by scene, like I was saying. I like to cut an as scripted and then like an off-the-wall scene. So I guess in this way, I'm using the script, and then I throw it away, and then I get it back out, and I throw it away. And so, for me, I think it's really meaningful to see the translation of the script to the screen as scripted, and then to adapt and alter, the approach. And as the film starts to come together, I wouldn't be so beholden to the script that it starts to kind of detract from the film, because the translation from script to screen is an important translation. It's an important step. And so, I don't think I would ever throw it away, but I think, we were talking about process and adapting and modifying your workflow and your process. I think at some point the script can inhibit that process of the film becoming the film that it's going to be. And so, I would never full sail throw it away, but at some point you got to just focus on the screen, because that's what everybody's going to see.
And is that, again, because the film is kind of telling you what it wants to become? So if you're too, quote unquote, married to this document, then the magic isn't really happening?
I think so. And I mean, every script is different. Like, there are some scripts that are just like on point, straight to the screen, beautiful, amazing. And that's definitely a case. But then there are some that they're more blueprints to what the film is going to be. And so you need to be open to both, and like letting the film tell you what it wants to be. Sometimes that's already been identified and perfectly nailed down in the script, and sometimes there's more exploration and honing to do, and then there's everything in between. And so for, when I'm cutting to the script, I want the film to tell me what it is. I don't want the script to get in the way of the process, but I also want it, because it's the germ, it's the scaffolding of the film, and so let that be what it'll be, but then follow the film on the screen.
How common is it for the tone of the movie to be different from the tone of the screenplay?
In my experience, tone has been pretty well identified and established in, I'll say, pre-production. Like in the screenplay, for sure, but somebody like Ryan Connolly spends so much time developing the tone through playlists that he's made, through animatics that he's created, through rip reels he's created, through so many different aspects. He's so focused on tone. And so it's definitely in the script, but he'll support the script with a bunch of other tonal examples and tonal sketches that are not necessarily a script. You know what I mean? And so I think there's times when the tone is nailed in the script, but I think there's so much more that goes into that tonal conversation. It is conversations, it's phone conversations, it's sharing screenshots and films with each other, and playlists and mood boards and rip reels. It's like all these other things that establish the tone in a much more approachable, applicable, bite-sizable way. Like, oh, I know what you mean. I got you now. That's the tone of this because you sent me this playlist with these images and this. And it's reflected, the tea leaves are in the script, but it's a lot of those, it's exploring the tone through those other ancillary mediums that I think really establishes the tone. And a lot of the cuts that, when I'm cutting this stuff, I'm not in a vacuum. I don't get handed a hard drive and a script. It's been months of conversation and like talking about these things with the director, hearing their vision, hearing where they're coming from, the modifications that the script has gone through. So it's all of those conversations that wrapped up into, I understand the tone. It's not just, hey, happy Monday, here's a script and a hard drive, get to work.
Right, I think you have several podcasts with Ryan on the Film Riot podcast channel or actual YouTube channel. I'm not sure which
both.
one.
We've done a couple episodes on his podcast, and then we've had some on his YouTube, like probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 on his YouTube channel.
Yeah. Where you go into depth about the film that you worked on together?
Yep, yeah, and it's very specific on 2 films, one called Ballistic, one called There Comes a Knocking, and we go into like the editing process and the collaboration between us, how we work together, and all that, yeah.
Right. And how did you meet Ryan?
How did I meet Ryan? We go a ways back. We got connected through another mutual friend and director that I've cut for, Ryan Booth. He's a commercial, and he also is a doc, and he also has an amazing script. So I've worked with Ryan Booth for a decade or a little over. And he shot something back in his DP days. He shot something for Connolly, and it was right at that transition where the director is transitioning out of cutting their own stuff and then wanting to sit in the director chair during the edit, which is a great transition for directors to make, because then they can start to like take a step back themselves and collaborate and use, if you will, an editor to elevate the cut, from a technical standpoint, but also from a theoretical and a narrative standpoint, because they can get themselves out of the weeds and remain high level. Anyway, so that's how I got connected with Connolly, and then we connected. The first film we connected on was called Ballistic, and then we've just been jamming together ever since.
You work well with Ryans.
Yeah, Ryans. I got Ryans.